Hello, y'all. My name is Deli. Um, I will be your instructor for Symbology 101. And for those who are interested in taking a class, learning more about symbols, how they interact with our minds, whether that be ancient symbols, you want to learn about dreams, symbols in movies, symbols in visions. How does the rest of the world see certain symbols? Like, let's say, for example, you have a dream, and for some reason you have a white buffalo, right? In Native American lore, white buffaloes, they have a specific meaning, right? They're they have a specific mythos when you encounter white buffalo in your dream. So I'm like, why not understand what the world's symbols are? Because the universe might be speaking to you, and that's really how the universe speaks to you, is through symbols. This is how we are programmed subconsciously, is through symbols. Um, you know, symbols. Uh, no, our subconscious is programmed via symbols, repetition, and trauma. You know, the reason why we dress the way we dress, dealing with different archetypes of ourselves. Some people are out here dressing like the fool, playing the fool card. Some people are embodying the symbol of the emperor or the empress. It it'd be good for us to learn what archetypes, what symbols are just across the board, because they might be filling in the gaps for mysteries of these worlds that we don't quite understand. So I'm just going to go over the interview, which is the introduction to symbology. So this is an introductory session. We'll set the foundation for the entire course by exploring what symbols are and why they matter. The class will start with an exploration of the definition of symbols, discussing their role as bridges between the abstract and the concrete, the individual and the collective. It will cover how symbols have been used historically to convey knowledge, beliefs, and values across different cultures and epochs. So that's the introduction. We're going to be going over key topics such as definition and importance of symbols, basically understanding symbols as a language of the subconscious mind, the universality of symbols in their role in human communication and thought. That's important. Number two, historical perspectives, a brief overview of how symbols have evolved over time, highlighting significant examples from ancient to modern times. Will be This will be an introduction to Manly P. Hall's insight on symbolic forms and their esoteric meaning. Three, psychological perspectives. We'll be introduced to Carl Jung's theories on symbols, including the collective unconscious and archetypes. How symbols influence individual psychology and collective behaviors. Four, introduction to symbolic systems. Overview of different symbolic systems such as religious, alchemical, and astrological symbols. How these systems use symbols to encode spiritual truths and knowledge. Five, interactive segments. Uh, Participants will engage in identifying common symbols around them and sharing their personal interpretations. Brief group discussions on how the interpretations reflect personal and cultural backgrounds. What will be the outcome of coming into this course? Participants will gain an understanding of the foundational role of symbols in human culture and individual identity. They will learn to appreciate the depth in, um, yeah, they'll appreciate the depth of the symbolic communication and begin to see the world around them in terms of symbolic expressions. Introduction to the main themes and sources that will be explored in more depth throughout the course. Um, each course is about between an hour and 30 to about 2 hours, um, which is definitely fine, you know, for people that can last in the class. Also, currently building a symbol database for the students, and whether that be the basic symbols, the shapes, the colors, the letters, whether that be deities of all different cultures, whether that be Hinduism, Ifa, Lakumi, the Aztecs, the Mayans, um, pretty much the idea is for it to cover so many places on the planet, because the planet is filled with many symbols. And I've come to the conclusion that just studying different spiritual aspects and spiritual systems, that they have a lot of symbols that reoccur. Like, for example, the cross is not exclusive to Christianity. You got Congorites using the cross. You got Lukumi using the cross. You got Ephi using the cross. Um, some utilize the cross similar to other cultures. Some have totally different meanings. And I think teaching people how to explore those different symbols would dry up a lot of confusion that we have. A lot of these symbols are not just linear, it's not just one thing. It could be a plethora of things. Have you heard the term that a picture's worth a thousand words? Well, same thing with a symbol. You know, sometimes symbols have multiple meanings, layers of meanings, which our subconscious have layers to it as well. Um, So, pretty much that's what we're going to go over in the first course. I'm charging $22 in order for you to take the class. For those that don't have the funds for that, I'm still able to welcome you into the class. So no one turned away for lack of funds, rather, because I feel the need and use for this. And also I'm promoting my own specific order. I have a celestial order which has 12 ministries, one of the ministries being symbology. And, I feel like if we learn symbols on a deeper level, we can understand so much more. So, yeah, that's my spill on what I have going. I also got a new book out. It's my fifth book, but fourth in the series. I have a series called Heart Kingdom, um, Book of the Ocean and Moon. That's the fifth book that came out. And, again, I use some of my knowledge based off of the ocean and the moon and incorporate it into the book. A lot of it is, I call it a metaphysical fantasy. In terms, I would also go on to say that it's also an Afro fantasy. Um, be that as a lot of people complain that we ain't got this or that in lore, but everything's whitewashed. Me, I don't really care about none of that. I draw fairies, I draw angels, I draw deities. I done made humans of all different kinds as far as illustrations and putting them into stories. We fully have the power to control our narrative down here in this universe. We could create new universes to where we could walk into and act out. I don't think we're truly limited. I think we absolutely have the power through our minds to change our reality. And that's why I'm here. If if anything, I'm doing this for me. I'm helping y'all, but really providing you tools that you can utilize to do your own research on ancient symbols without me. Um, I saw a need for this because people would ask me about certain things, and I'm just like, why not have a class and a database in one spot to where people can learn symbols? They could even learn how their mind works. A lot of people don't know how their mind works, and some of them are functioning pretty well. Some of them are not functioning good. And, mental health is a real thing out here. So, you know, I'm also into the psychedelic realm as well. Learning about entheogenic plants, even dealing with the entheogens while dealing with the symbols. That's a whole nother level. And Yeah, I know there's a young lady, good friend of mine, Acacia Sherman Lewis. She's doing a class on entheogens, entheogenic plants of all kinds. And I think hers is a 3 month class from July to about September. So I recommend you take her class, look her up, um, check out her body of work when dealing with these kind of sacraments. I feel like she's putting in a lot of work into learning these entheogens, practicing this medicine. And there's a lot of people in the community that are practicing this medicine as well. And, me also dealing with the sacraments, um, I work closely with the psychedelic mushrooms, but pretty much a lot of different entheogenic plants. And I've come to the conclusion that, although entheogenic plants can help, um, sometimes, not even sometimes, I would prefer people do some of their shadow work before going into the entheogen, right? Because I only do high dose mushrooms myself, every couple of months to 3 months, to do some serious work on myself. But I've been doing serious work on myself outside of the psychedelic realm. Uh, some people feel like they're going to take these sacraments and just be healed. You got for instance, when people go to ayahuasca ceremonies, right? They're getting dosed, or what was it, underdosed and overcharged for these ceremonies, um, which I don't quite agree with. I feel like you got a lot of people who are getting into psychedelics just to get high. And that's fine if you want to do that. But if you really want to do some serious work, really put some intention into that. Um, setting your attentions with the entheogen. For example, anytime I do my high dose work with mushrooms, always gotta fast like the whole day or 2 days ahead of time, and then I like to use specific prayers or purification prayers to get my mind right before even consuming the mushroom, because I'm really setting the tone for going into the other realms and pulling things out, and if he was to fuse that with symbology, right? Because you can go into the entheogenic realms and then pull out ancient symbols and in their meanings, or even focusing on specific symbols while you're in those trips. And they might take you through different portals, or creating your own sigils to where they have a specific meaning, they're charged to go align with your intent. And then right when you, consume the entheogen, whether it be a mushroom or even cannabis, it might allow you to go deeper within that symbol, which I'm not covering psychedelics anytime soon, even though I'm in a lot of, I'm in a lot of that realm, just working with the mushroom, learning about the ancients, working with the mushrooms, working with the labs and the mushrooms. They're quite interesting, you know. Um, I find it interesting because I feel like a lot of people on this planet need help, like all kinds of help, and specifically mental help, spiritual, mental help. A lot of people out here are having identity crises, but they're having an identity crisis. A lot of them don't know who and what they are, let alone, well, you got people who they're disassociated with their nations, with their bloodline. They don't even know what tribes they come from. You got people who are struggling with themselves and their gender, right? Um, which will be important getting into Carl Jung's work, because you'll learn about the animus versus the anima. the unconscious male and the unconscious female that may live within us. You know, a lot of people trying to figure out what their purpose is in life here. You know, a lot of people is like, I didn't come to Earth to work a 9 to 5. You feel me? And just do that forever. You know, everybody has a thing that they came to do. And I feel like learning symbols and even learning your archetype, learning what your name means, learning the reason why you like certain foods and certain clothes you like to wear, because you yourself is a symbol down here. Um, yeah, you yourself is a symbol. Like let's take the celebrity for example, right? Let's use Chadwick Boseman. Like Chadwick Boseman, at the very surface level, he's a black man. That's two symbols right there. He's a black man. That's just at the base level. An adult black man. That's three. Now you put him into movies, and he starts accumulating more archetypes. For example, he played 42. So, which is a movie about Jackie Robinson. So now he's drawn down the energy of Jackie Robinson, that time period, that frequency 42, right? Then you have was that Black Panther. He played in Black Panther. You're drawing down the essence of that Black Panther superhero, but also the Panther spirit, which is, we go back into symbology. You start studying where the Panther spirit derives and where it landed, because we got Panther and leopard spirits all throughout Northern America, Southern America, Africa. So you had different Pantherites just across the planet. So learning symbology just helps you connect those little dots here and there, and that as an archetype. So you got Chadwick Boseman, who's a black man, adult, drawn down 42, drawn down. James Brown, that's another one. That's another archetype. Drawn down the Black Panther, and now it's broadcasted to the world. And now in your subconscious, anytime you would see a black man or a version of a black man, an archetype such as a Black Panther might pop up in your head. Like, oh, okay. When I think of black men now, I think of a king, right? And there's different variations of kings, because we had T'Challa, who was one particular king, but then we had Killmonger, who was another kind of king, and he's another black man. Specifically, was playing a black man from East Oakland. Well, I live in East Oakland. I'm from North Oakland, but Oakland all around. So that you're now programming people to where it's like, okay, when I see black men from Oakland, they probably got that spirit of Killmonger in him. Still kingly though, because he threw T'Challa over, he won the crown. And he had a different variation of the king, which is T'Challa, the other Black Panther, you know? And there's all these different variations of black men that come across our head, whether that be the archetype of of the thug, the gangster black man. You have the archetype of the homo thug. That's the thing. There's so many different archetypes of black men, just black men, not even just men, just specifically black men. Just like there's different archetypes of white men, Chinese men, Indian men. There's different archetypes that they're dealing with in one setting. And really, I'm trying to get people to really dive deep into their own heads so they can figure out where do they fall in on that spectrum. If they fall in on any of those spectrums, they might be their own archetype, which is real simple, and that's cool. I like being my own archetype, but some days I feel like an emperor. Emperor is an archetype. Other days I feel like I'm starting a new journey, and tarot, that's the fool. That's card zero, you know? Um, I'm pretty sure some people they may feel like the high priestess sitting there with the scroll and all covered up and you know looking like a nun. Some people have those archetypes, and some people might be pulling through other kind of archetypes as well. And I think Carl Jung goes over this as the collective unconscious is it was either collective unconscious or conscious when it deals with archetypes because to some degree we all have a sense of what archetypes are, like the royal person, the peasant, um, the rich person, the poor person, um, the villain. There's all kind of different archetypes that you could tap into. Prince is a good one. When Prince was going through his name changes, or the artist formerly known as Prince, he literally created a symbol that represents him. And I'm like, that's amazing. Even after his death, we see that symbol as like, oh, that's Prince. Because he has now drawn himself into a symbol, you know. I think this is also a reason why a lot of people don't like slave movies. They don't like slave movies because um, it puts us in this mindset of remember you was a slave. Remember your ancestors was picking cotton. Remember the white man. Remember this. Remember that. Um, at some point, it has become trauma porn for us. It's like, oh, we get re-traumatized again, and I really don't like us being seen as slaves. Which is another archetype, which is a period that we have gone through. But let's be fairly honest with you. You know, we weren't the first slaves, nor were we the last. You know, black people, and specifically, we've been doing great things for hundreds of millions of years. I'm gonna say let's say hundreds of thousands. We'll just keep it right there. Building Egypt, ancient Babylonia, um, shit, all throughout Africa, shit, all of Europe with the Moors. You feel me? We've built this place, so we didn't start with slavery. Some others might start with slavery with us, but we didn't start with slavery. That's not where our story starts. That's just a blip in the matrix. That's part of our story now, but that's not the entirety of it. Because once you are able to deconstruct your own mind, you can create your own narrative. This is why I love writing books, because you can control the narrative. You can create the narrative. And yeah, if y'all want to take my class, please slide through. Um, I'll be more than gracious for those who can't afford the $22 class. I'll waive the fee for you and see how you like the class. And if you think it's fruitful, sign up and hope to see y'all soon. All right, deuces.